Hello beautiful people out there, welcome to this video tutorial on how to remove properties from objects without mutating or altering the object using object destructuring with REST syntax. Here we have an object named student, and the object actually has three properties here. What we actually want to achieve in this video tutorial is how we can actually remove any of these properties, either name, age, or student, without actually mutating or altering the object itself. Here is the syntax we can actually use to achieve this. We have a constant, then the property that we want to remove, followed by comma, then we have a 3 periods, then the rest object, then followed by the name of our object. So let me comment this out. So here is the syntax. So here is how it goes. You first destructure the object to the property you want to remove, and the rest or the remaining properties are now moved or collected into a rest object. So let's say we want to remove any property here, either name, age, or student ID. So this is the name of the property that we want to remove. Then the remaining properties will now be moved to this rest object or collected into this rest object, while this is our object itself. Let's see with an example how we can actually do this. So let's say constant, and let's say we want to remove a name, for instance. So we write name, then let's say where we want the remaining properties to be collected, the rest will now be, let's say, rest properties. Okay, let's just say rest properties, and then the name of our object. This case we have a student. So let's see in our browser how it actually looks like. So the statement here destructures the student objects and moves the properties into a rest object, and excluding what we have here, that is the name, will now be excluded or removed. So here let's see how this will look like when we run this in our console, the browser console. So you can actually see here that the name, the property name, has actually been removed from the object. Let's again log the object itself into our browser console. So the object itself, the student, let's see how it will look like. So we can see here clearly that in the first output, we can clearly see in our browser console that here the property name has actually been removed here. Why, when we log it again, we can see that the name is not removed. That is, the object is not mutated or altered in any way. But if we are to use a delete operator, we know that this name will not be there. That means the whole object will be mutated. The original object will be mutated. But in the case of object destructuring with REST syntax, the property name will only be removed, while the object, the original object, is not altered or mutated in any way. Now, what if we want to remove more than one property from our object? Let's say, for instance, we want to remove age and name. So here now, let's put age, and let's see how it will look like in our. So we can see our original object is not mutated or altered, it's still intact. While when we now perform the structuring with REST syntax, we can clearly see that the name and age properties are being removed, while we are left with student ID property. What about removing a property name dynamically? We can as well achieve that in a very simple way. So here is the syntax. We need to declare a variable. Then this name identifier we store the property name. Then have this. Then our REST object, then followed by the object name. So this is the syntax. So let me comment this out. So let's say we want to remove let's say student ID, for instance. We declare our variable with const keyword, then the name of the properties that we want to remove. In this case, we want to remove student ID dynamically. So then where we have name is a file, then by remove the property, then the name of where we want to move the rest property to. So let's just call the variable as a rest. Okay, let's use a rest props, then the name of our object student this time around. So we've been able to supply the necessary information that we have from our student object. So let's see the result in our browser console. Let's console.log it and see. So here is where the rest properties, that is the properties that we are not going to remove, where they are stored, where they are collected. So let's run and see. So we can see here once again that the student ID has been removed from our object, but all we know is that our objects are not mutated. The original object, they are still intact, they are not altered or mutated in any way. So let's see this once again. So let's run let's console.log our original object and see if anything has happened to it, if it's been deleted totally or it is still intact. So we can see our original object is still intact, it's not mutated, or no alteration that actually apply to the original object. We can see from here that the student ID we are still having in our original object is being removed when we destructure the object and now use a REST syntax to actually remove one of the properties, in this case student ID, from our object. So that's how we can actually remove any property from our object without actually mutating the original object itself using object destructuring with REST syntax.